Leroy Gibbs, an iconic character from NCIS, has unwittingly become linked to a recurring and bizarre theme: crimes being committed at his home. While Gibbs, portrayed by Mark Harmon, was introduced in 2003 and became a staple of the show, his personal residence has been the site of numerous criminal events throughout the series, with some estimates suggesting 10 to 15 incidents. This includes everything from shootings to harboring persons of interest, with some fans even speculating that crimes are committed almost every season. While there are various theories about why Gibbs' house is so frequently targeted, many believe it's due to his reputation as a reliable protector, inadvertently making his home a hotspot for conflict. Fans now reflect on the pattern, wondering if this narrative foreshadowed his own criminal act before his departure from the show. Leroy Gibbs holds a disturbing NCIS record fans may have missed. NCIS has been running for just over 20 years now and continues to host a dedicated and consistent audience. Over that time, characters have come and gone, but only a few key figures have remained for the duration of the show's time on TV. It takes great dedication for an actor to spend so much of their time in a specific role, as there is always fear that they may be forever typecast within that genre and character style. However, in portraying the same figure for so long, the actor is also able to build a sense of continuity and history, forming a firm relationship with fans built off of a strong feeling of nostalgia. NCIS has a few characters and, indeed, actors who meet that description, and there are perhaps none more so than Leroy Gibbs. But, as is often the case with these kinds of shows, fans have begun to notice a strange recurring theme among Gibbs' stories. One particular record has been smashed by the character repeatedly, perhaps without the writers even realizing it. It's natural that certain arcs will be repeated or re-emerge, considering there are simply so many hours of TV to fill. But when a character has a central role to play in a show's success, they may end up being the subject of those repetitions. Leroy Gibbs has not only stayed around long enough to be synonymous with NCIS, but he is now at the center of numerous fan theories because of this specific record, which he has unknowingly been attached to. It seems that, in some way or another, crimes just keep on being committed at Gibbs' home. And needless to say, it's not great when a detective finds that their own house is under investigation. Leroy Gibbs is an iconic NCIS character. He's seen and done it all. Gibbs was introduced to NCIS audiences in 2003, specifically as part of Season 8 of the show. Portrayed by Mark Harmon, NCIS creator Donald Pete Bellisario had previously seen the actor in The West Wing and first cast him in JAG before moving him over to NCIS for the foreseeable future. It was a match made in heaven and one that made the character a staple of the series even so late in the game. While Harmon might have joined in the 8th season of the show's historic run, he would continue until its 19th, remaining a consistent part of the show's long and rich tapestry. Harmon made sure that Leroy Gibbs would be remembered forever. Gibbs was pitched as a no-nonsense special agent in charge, a role that Harmon truly made his own. It seemed he'd continue in the role until the end of his career, but the actor seemed finally ready to move on from the show, explore new avenues, and ultimately rest from a grinding schedule. Throughout his time, Gibbs had some memorable storylines and would leave the series in a much better place. His conclusion was a moving one, as he was finally able to accept the deaths of his wife and daughter and found peace in unexpected ways. Leaving his team behind, he broke the law to do the right thing, at least by his own judgment, and was granted mercy by the very men and women he served alongside. It's a moving moment that speaks to the dedication and steadfast will of the character, who was still able to show new shades even in his final moments on screen. As a former U.S. Marine Corps scout sniper, Gibbs was always a well-respected leader and a dab hand with a firearm, but he learned to delegate and lean on the experiences of his own team, who could, in turn, complement his own skills. He was thus utterly effective in the field, but despite all of these strengths, he seemingly had one weakness: his own home. For despite all the good work he did and the explosive finale the character was given, one particular storyline appeared again and again since Gibbs' first appearance, which suggested he wasn't so good at protecting his own home. Gibbs' home is a crime hotspot. Approximately 10 to 15 crimes were committed on his property. No one in law enforcement wants their own property to become the subject of suspicion, but it seems that this has happened to Leroy Jethro Gibbs constantly throughout his career. From a writer's perspective, it makes complete sense. To center the action on a particular lead character is an easy way to link them to the conflict in a personal capacity, but joining the dots to something that audiences can easily connect them with. It's also a perfect way to isolate the character away from the rest of their team. At home, they are most likely to be alone, adding to the danger. Perhaps it's even more fascinating that crime was so often linked to Gibbs' home, considering his own conclusion and how he, too, technically committed a crime. While this ending was never planned for the character initially, somehow it feels as if there is a sense of foreshadowing, as if the writing team was building to this ending all along. Regardless, by setting so many crimes at Gibbs' house, it gives a chance for the themes of the show to be laid bare, the grays between right and wrong, and the personal toll that the job takes on all those who sign up. Fans have often debated how many crimes have actually taken place in the Gibbs household and when the first one was really committed. Over the years, people have been shot at, actually hit, or committed various other crimes, all of which have shocked Gibbs. It's estimated that there have been at least 10 to 15 instances of this taking place, with some fans convinced it happens at least once per season. Those numbers are logical, though, considering there are just so many episodes to fill and only so many dramatic story types to draw from. Gibbs himself has harbored persons of interest in that house before, which isn't a great look for the veteran, but many believe that the first major crime to actually be committed in the house was when Ziva murdered Ari. That's obviously a big event to take place in someone's house, and anyone else would likely move away to put some distance between themselves and such harrowing events. But it certainly says something about Gibbs that he stuck around regardless, and remained as other terrible things took place. Fans are baffled by this consistent narrative beat. There are plenty of fan theories as to why the house is a constant crime scene. It's funny that Gibbs' house was often used as and considered to be a safe house, considering all the things that happened there. Bringing all of these volatile and unpredictable people with their own personal problems into one space is essentially inviting trouble, so, on the surface level, there is no question as to how all of these crimes could have kept happening. It is an erratic profession, after all, and these experts have seen and done it all,